So the conversation gets even more interesting for the Minnesota Wild. Because today we're talking about one of the best defensemen in the National Hockey League, and no, we're not referring to Brock Faber, unfortunately. We're talking about Quinn Hughes. And we're also talking about a guy who doesn't happen to be a Minnesota Wild player, but he could be? I don't know. We're talking about Vincent Trocheck as well. Of course, he plays for the New York Rangers. The reason we are diving into both of these guys today and how they relate to Minnesota is because of some of the latest hearsay and happenings at the Olympic Games. You know what? Let's start out with Vinny Trocheck because this is, I think, the meatier of the two. Take a look at these updates posted by Michael Russo on Blue Sky and on Twitter. USA team photos just took place at Milano Cortina. Then, NHL team-specific photos, college teammate photos, US NTDP program photo, Tkachuk Hughes photo, etc. Hilariously, Vincent Trocheck jokingly acted as if he was going to join the Minnesota Wild player and staff photo. The funny part is, if you take a look at the New York Rangers subreddit, the top comment says, yeah, Minnesota is going to fleece Drury after the Olympics. I cannot wait. Minnesota gets Trocheck, New York gets his Olympic jersey and a 5th-round draft pick in the WNHL. Another reply from a cynical Rangers fan says, our players don't want to play for us. It could not be clearer. Watch the on-ice product. Correction, they don't want to play for him. Of course, referring to Drury. Art imitates life. Even after trading Bouillon, the Wild still have a very solid prospect pool. I wish we had a better GM to do the deal with them. If we're going to trade Trocheck, I hope it's to a real contender like the Wild. The dude has been a grinder here and deserves better than the crap sandwich Drury is serving up. If Vinny Trocheck is already joking around and putting himself in the Minnesota Wild corner, because obviously the Wild have a ton of American players on this American Olympic team, Hughes, Faber, Boldy, pretty good trio right there. If Vinny Trocheck is inserting himself into the picture and implying that he maybe wants to go over to Minnie, then I don't really think anybody would be too surprised, right? The Wild need a center. It's already been talked about that they could be willing to trade away Jesper Wallstedt to get a center. I don't necessarily know if New York needs a player like Jesper Wallstedt with the existence of Igor Shesterkin, but it's nice to see Vinny Trocheck show some enthusiasm at the very least. The Wild folks go out there and comment on this as well. Take one, just in case. Boys, I know we have Olympic hockey, but I'm not going to survive this month. He could be really interesting as an addition with what he is. His preference for the Eastern Conference might hinder bringing him on, though. As long as Wally isn't the return, Wallstedt, though with Shesterkin, I doubt the Rangers want him. Plus, after the Panarin return, we can probably rob New York blind, like the Kings did. Now, I don't know if that's really possible here. Vinny Trocheck probably doesn't have the same authority to command wherever it is that he goes like Artemi Panarin did. Trocheck at the moment, okay, he has a modified no-trade clause, 12-team no-trade list. So if he has the openness of Minnesota available, then he's got no choice. He can't just handcuff New York and say, hey, I only want to go to that one specific team, like Artemi Panarin did with the LA Kings. He only wanted to go to LA. He rejected double the money to play in Seattle. He wanted to stay in another big market. So Vinny Trocheck, if there is a preference to stay in the East, then maybe there is a possibility there. We'd already discussed Detroit as an option. Pittsburgh is, of course, where Trocheck is from. There are a number of teams in that area that could be interesting. Minnesota is just the most Western, I think, compared to all of those other teams there. Yeah, okay, so Minneapolis is more West than Detroit is. Sorry, I had to Google that. I'm kind of an idiot. But with that said, let's talk about one of those Minnesota Wild American dudes. And Quinn Hughes, the latest on him, courtesy of what Michael Russo and Joe Smith wrote about on The Athletic. Take a look at their scoop here on Quinn Hughes. At this point, it would be a surprise if Bill Guerin doesn't extend him. Maybe a 3-year deal to align himself with the end of Jack's contract. Maybe an 8-year deal, since this is the last time that length can be signed. And all I gotta say to this idea, this update that Quinn Hughes signing with Minnesota is an inevitability, is congrats. Minnesota, y'all are a good team. You were already a good team before acquiring Hughes. Now Hughes has made the team even better. He's taken this team above and beyond to greater heights. And all I can say is congrats. Y'all built a team that was so good and good enough that it lived up and lives up to Quinn Hughes' standard of NHL caliber competition. Vancouver, we couldn't do that. Not we as in like me, myself, as a Vancouver citizen, but the Canucks, they could not do that. Quinn Hughes went from the worst team in the National Hockey League to the team that is currently ranked 4th. And make no mistake, part of the reason they're 4th is because of him, but he wanted a team where he could win. That was it. We heard what Brock Besser said in the media. It's not even about playing with his brothers. He just wants to win. The guy wants to be on a competitive team that has a chance to win every single year, and Minnesota, hey, the amount of times they've made the playoffs definitely rivals Vancouver, definitely supersedes Vancouver. The idea now that Quinn could be signing his next deal to either align with Jack Hughes' contract's expiration or that straight up just 8 years long by $15 million or whatever, he signs a contract till 2036 or whatever the contract length is going to be. Is that a possibility? Yeah, I honestly think that it's a possibility. Kirill is making 17 mil. Quinn could make 15, 16, 17 mil. If his agent holds out a little bit too long and Minnesota inevitably acquiesces because they're like, yeah, okay, this guy is one of the best defensemen in the NHL. I mean, look at the production. 18 points in 10 games, 9 points in 5 games. Quinn Hughes has been a man on a mission ever since getting traded over to Minnesota. Look at the point streak here. My goodness. 2 points, 2 points, 1 point, 3 points, 1, 1, 1, 2, 3, 2. Ay, ay, ay. Quinn Hughes on a team that has been consistently winning. This is absolutely bananas, bonkers, crazy how good he has been. And when Quinn is playing on a good team, his team is getting results, he's getting the points, that's when it becomes a lot more obvious that he's enjoying himself. So this update from Smith and Russo, that it seems inevitable that Quinn re-signs with Minnesota, he doesn't become a free agent, he doesn't go to New Jersey, he doesn't go elsewhere. This seems like an inevitability. And all I gotta say is congrats. So, Minnesota Wild fans, let me hear it in the comments section below. Firstly, how do you feel about Vinny Trocheck jokingly acting as a member of your hockey team? Do you think this is the guy you need to play as another center on your squad? What are your thoughts on Faber, Hughes, Boldy, all the mini guys on Team USA, and Vinny Trocheck wanting to be a part of that group? Imagine that, eh? He's abandoning his childhood friend, JT, to hang out with the Minnesota dudes, including Quinn Hughes. There are enough Vancouver ties to this conversation to make it interesting, but what are your thoughts on Trocheck and potentially him being a wild target? Also, what's your opinion on Quinn Hughes and the supposed inevitability of him re-signing in Minnesota? It's a lot more likely now, I'd say, than maybe it was when the trade was made a month or two ago. So let me hear it. What are your thoughts about this? How are you responding? If I was a Wild fan, I'd be ecstatic, over the moon. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.